Alex Carter's heart pounded as he looked over the alien landscape. The once thriving colony ship had been torn apart by an unexpected meteor storm, leaving him stranded on an unknown planet. His survival instincts kicked in, and he quickly began to search for food and water. His ship was now a pile of scrap metal, and communication with Earth had been severed. He was alone in a place where nothing seemed familiar. The sky above him was an unusual shade of purple, with two suns hanging low in the distance. The air was thick and humid, and strange plants grew everywhere, their colors vivid and otherworldly. Alex had learned that planets like this were unpredictable. One moment, they could be beautiful, the next, deadly. But his training had prepared him for survival in hostile environments. His only hope was to stay calm, focus on the essentials, and find a way off this planet. As he wandered deeper into the dense forest, his mind began to race. He'd never planned for this scenario, and yet here he was, stuck on a planet where the gravity felt slightly stronger than Earth's, the air slightly denser. His backpack was still intact, though the survival kit inside it had minimal supplies. Food would last him maybe a week. Water was another concern, but he could manage by collecting rainwater for now. He pushed through thick underbrush, stepping carefully as he tried to avoid any dangerous creatures. Though the planet seemed calm, he knew that danger could strike at any moment. That's when he noticed something strange. Movement in the trees ahead. At first, Alex thought it might be an animal. His instincts told him to remain still and observe. But as he focused, he saw it wasn't an animal at all. It was a figure, a humanoid figure, standing between the trees, almost blending in with the environment. It was taller than Alex, with a slender build and smooth skin that shimmered in the dim light. Her skin was a soft shade of blue, and she had long, flowing hair that looked almost like the vines of the forest itself. Alex froze. His mind raced to make sense of what he was seeing. An alien. He had heard rumors of life on distant planets, but he never thought he'd actually encounter it himself. His heart thudded in his chest as the figure stepped closer, revealing her full form. She was unlike anything Alex had ever seen before. Graceful, yet strong. Her large, almond-shaped eyes glowed a bright shade of silver, and her face carried an expression that was both curious and cautious. For a moment, neither of them moved. Alex didn't know if he should speak, move, or wait. The alien, no, the woman, tilted her head slightly, studying him with an intense gaze. She didn't appear threatening. But Alex wasn't sure whether that was a good thing or not. He slowly raised his hand in a peaceful gesture, trying to communicate that he meant no harm. The woman's eyes flickered, as if analyzing the gesture. Then she took a cautious step forward, her movements fluid and silent. Alex held his breath, unsure of what to expect. Finally, she spoke, but the words were completely unfamiliar. Her voice was melodic, smooth, almost like a song, but the sounds meant nothing to Alex. He shook his head, gesturing to his ear. "I don't understand," he said in his native language, hoping she might grasp the meaning. The woman blinked, as if processing the words. Then she made a sound, almost like a hum, before tapping her chest and saying something in her language again. Alex's brow furrowed in confusion. The sounds were beautiful, but completely incomprehensible. She seemed to sense his confusion, her expression softening. She reached into a pouch on her side and pulled out a small device, which looked like a cross between a communicator and a bracelet. She held it up, and after a brief pause, a soft voice emerged from the device, speaking in perfect English. "I am Elira," the voice said. "I mean no harm. I've never seen a human before." Alex blinked, feeling a wave of relief wash over him. The technology the alien woman held was advanced, and it was clear she could communicate. He smiled, though he was still in shock. "I'm Alex Carter. I'm from Earth. My ship crashed here. I'm stranded." Elira's eyes softened further, her lips curving into a gentle smile. She tilted her head, seemingly understanding. Then she looked around, as if taking in the vast forest around them. "This place is unfamiliar to you," she said, her voice now clearer through the device. "This is my home. I can help you find shelter." Alex didn't know whether he should trust her or not, but he was in no position to turn down help. Besides, she seemed genuinely kind, and the fact that she had an advanced translator device meant she wasn't hostile. He nodded. "That would be great. I could use some shelter." Elira smiled again and extended her hand toward him, her movements elegant and graceful. Alex hesitated for a moment before reaching out to take her hand. As soon as his fingers touched hers, a strange warmth spread through him, not physical but emotional. It was like an unspoken connection, a sign that Elira was not just helping him out of pity, but out of a genuine desire to offer assistance. "Follow me," Elira said, her voice calm and steady. "I'll take you to a safe place." As they walked together through the alien forest, Alex couldn't help but wonder what kind of world he had landed on. He was no longer alone, not physically, at least. But even as they moved deeper into the woods, the question lingered in his mind. What did this encounter mean for both of them? Could he trust Elira? Was this just the beginning of something far bigger than he could imagine? The forest around them seemed alive, its dense trees stretching high into the purple sky, and the air smelled rich with the scent of unfamiliar plants. Alex followed Elira closely, trying his best to keep up with her graceful movements. She moved through the underbrush with ease, seemingly at home in the strange forest. Alex, on the other hand, felt like a clumsy intruder, constantly brushing against thick vines and stumbling over hidden roots. Despite his discomfort, Alex couldn't help but be amazed by the beauty of Elira. She was so different from anyone he had ever seen, her blue skin glowing softly in the dim light, her long hair flowing like the tendrils of the forest plants. But it wasn't just her appearance that was captivating. There was something about her presence that felt calming, like she was in perfect harmony with her environment. It made Alex feel strangely at peace, even though he was far from home and stranded on an alien planet. As they walked, Alex thought about how different Elira was from anything he had imagined about alien life. He had been trained for first contact, prepared for anything from hostile invaders to strange new ecosystems. But nothing in his training had prepared him for the peaceful, almost serene way Elira carried herself. It wasn't long before they reached a small clearing, where a series of sleek, metallic structures were nestled between the trees. They looked like small homes, built into the very fabric of the planet. Alex could see that the buildings blended perfectly with their surroundings, almost as if they had grown from the ground itself. "This is where I live," Elira said, gesturing toward the structures with a soft smile. "It's safe here. You can rest and gather your strength." Alex looked around in awe. The buildings weren't like anything he had ever seen. They were organic in design, curved and flowing, with surfaces that shimmered like the leaves of the trees. It almost felt like they were alive, breathing in rhythm with the planet itself. Elira led him to one of the structures, and Alex followed her inside. The interior was just as stunning as the exterior, with soft, glowing light emanating from the walls. The furniture was minimal, made from what looked like woven plants and fibers, but it was comfortable and inviting. Elira gestured for Alex to sit on a large cushion, and he gratefully took a seat. "This place is amazing," Alex said, his voice filled with awe. "It feels like it's part of the planet." Elira smiled, sitting across from him. "It is. My people live in harmony with this world. We use the plants and the energy of the planet itself to create our homes and our technology. Nothing is wasted, nothing is taken without giving something back." Alex nodded, trying to absorb the information. "It's incredible. Back on Earth, we've been trying to find ways to live more sustainably, but we're not there yet." Elira's eyes sparkled as she spoke. "You're not far from it. I can sense that you want to learn. That's good. That's the first step. The conversation paused for a moment as Elira reached into a small pouch at her side. She pulled out a strange, smooth object that looked like a small stone, glowing faintly with an inner light. She held it up, and it hummed softly, sending a gentle vibration through the air. "This is a translator," Elira explained. "It will help us communicate more clearly. I know some basic human words, but this will allow us to understand each other better." Alex raised an eyebrow. "A translator? That's incredible. I can barely understand anything you've said so far, but with this, we'll be able to talk properly." Elira nodded. "Yes. The device will help bridge the gap between our languages. It doesn't just translate words, but the meaning behind them. Our languages are not just made of sounds. They're made of emotions, feelings, and resonance." Alex was fascinated. He had studied languages, but he had never heard of anything like this. The idea that language could carry emotions and feelings beyond simple words was both foreign and exciting. He leaned forward, eager to learn more. "Emotions? What do you mean by that?" Alex asked. Elira smiled. "When we speak, we don't just use words. We share our feelings, our intentions. For us, language is a connection, a bond between people. It's not just about communicating information. It's about understanding each other on a deeper level. The translator will allow you to experience that." Alex's mind raced as he tried to imagine what it would be like to communicate in such a way. He had always thought of language as a tool, a way to convey facts, ideas, and commands. But what Elira was describing was something far more complex and beautiful. "You'll see," Elira said, as she held the translator device between them. "The first thing I'll teach you is the concept of resonance. It's how we connect to one another." She placed her hand on the device, and a soft glow enveloped the room. For a moment, nothing happened. But then, Alex felt a strange warmth spread through his chest. It was subtle at first, like the feeling of being in a warm, familiar place. But as Elira spoke again, the warmth grew, and Alex suddenly felt a deep sense of peace. "I understand you better now," Alex whispered, stunned by the feeling. Elira nodded, her eyes soft with understanding. "This is resonance. It's not just about hearing words, but feeling the intent behind them. You're beginning to understand. This is how we communicate." Alex sat back, overwhelmed by the experience. It was like a door had opened in his mind, and he could see the world in a new way. He realized that this was just the beginning. There was so much more to learn from Elira and her people, and he couldn't wait to discover it all. Alex was still trying to wrap his mind around everything Elira had shown him. The strange, beautiful world around them, the way her people lived in harmony with the planet, and the translator that had already opened new doors to understanding. He had so many questions, but for now, he decided to focus on one thing at a time. Elira had been kind enough to offer him shelter for the night. As they sat together in the glowing interior of her home, she looked at him with an expression that was both thoughtful and curious. "There is something I need to teach you," Elira said softly. "It is important for you to understand not just our language, but how we connect with everything around us." Alex tilted his head. "What do you mean? I thought I was starting to understand, but I feel like there's more to it." Elira smiled. "There is. What we've been learning so far is just the beginning. To truly understand my people, you must learn the trial of trust." Alex's curiosity was piqued. "A trial of trust? What's that?" Elira's eyes sparkled with gentle amusement. "It's a rite of passage, a way for my people to bond with others. You will need to trust not just me, but the planet itself. Our connection to the world around us is strong, and we can share that energy if you are willing to try." Alex wasn't sure what Elira meant, but he had come this far, and he trusted her. "All right, I'm willing to give it a try." Elira nodded, rising from her seat and leading Alex outside the structure. The cool air felt refreshing after the warmth of the house, and the night sky above was dotted with countless stars. Alex had never seen anything like it. The planet's 2 moons hung brightly in the sky, casting an ethereal glow over the land. "Follow me," Elira said, her voice steady and calm. She walked through the forest once again, her steps light and fluid. Alex tried to match her pace, though it wasn't easy in the dense underbrush. The trail they were following was barely visible, but Elira seemed to know exactly where she was going. After a short walk, they reached a small clearing. In the center was a large, smooth stone that seemed to pulse with a soft light. The stone was surrounded by glowing plants, their petals swaying gently as if in response to the energy in the air. "This is the heart of the forest," Elira explained, her voice reverent. "It is a place of great power. The plants, the trees, the stone, everything here is alive with energy. My people believe that this place is a gift from the planet. It allows us to connect with the land and each other in ways that go beyond words." Alex felt a chill run down his spine. There was something undeniably powerful about the place. It wasn't just the way the stone glowed or how the plants seemed to hum with energy. It was as if the entire forest was alive, watching them, waiting for something. "This is where the trial of trust takes place," Elira continued. "You will need to connect with the planet, to become one with it. Only then will you understand the bond we share." Alex looked at her, still unsure of what she meant. "How do I do that?" Elira gestured to the stone. "Place your hands on it. Let the energy flow through you. Trust the planet. Trust me." Alex hesitated for a moment. It sounded strange, almost impossible, but something in Elira's calm demeanor made him feel that this was something worth trying. He stepped forward and placed his hands gently on the stone. At first, nothing happened. The stone was cold and smooth beneath his fingertips, and for a moment, Alex wondered if this was just some elaborate trick. But then he felt it, a warmth spreading through his palms, slowly creeping up his arms. It was subtle at first, like a soft current, but then it grew stronger. Alex felt a connection, not just to the stone, but to everything around him. The trees, the plants, the very ground beneath his feet. It was as if he could feel the heartbeat of the planet itself. His breath quickened, and for a moment, he was overwhelmed. His mind swam with images of the land, of Elira's people living in harmony with the world, of the deep connection they had to nature. It was all so different from Earth, where humans often took from the land without giving anything back. "Focus," Elira's voice echoed in his mind. "Let the energy flow. Don't fight it." Alex closed his eyes, allowing himself to relax. He focused on the sensation, letting the warmth travel deeper into his being. Slowly, he began to feel the tension in his body melt away. It was as if the planet was wrapping him in a comforting embrace, helping him to understand its rhythms, its pulse. For the first time since he crash-landed on this strange world, Alex felt at peace. He felt connected. After what seemed like an eternity, he slowly withdrew his hands from the stone. He opened his eyes, and for a moment, everything around him seemed brighter, more vivid. The plants, the trees, the sky. It all felt alive in a way he couldn't explain. Elira was watching him intently, her silver eyes full of understanding. "You did it," she said softly. "You connected. You trusted." Alex could hardly believe it. The energy he had felt was still lingering in his body, and he could sense the deep bond that Elira and her people shared with the planet. It was more than just survival. It was a way of life, a philosophy built on respect, trust, and mutual care. I think I understand," Alex said, his voice quiet with awe. "It's not just about learning the language or the culture. It's about living in harmony with everything around you." Elira smiled, a soft, knowing smile. "Exactly. You've taken the first step. There is much more for you to learn, but you are no longer just a visitor. You are a part of this world now." Alex felt a sense of pride swell within him. He had earned Elira's trust, And in doing so, he had taken the first step toward understanding this incredible planet and the people who called it home. The morning after the trial of trust, Alex woke up with a strange feeling he couldn't quite explain. It was as if the planet itself had left its mark on him. The warmth, the energy, the connection, it was all still there, like a faint hum in the background of his mind. He stretched and looked around Elira's home, feeling more at ease than he had since crash landing on this unfamiliar world. Elira was already up, preparing something that looked like a simple breakfast. The room was filled with the pleasant smell of fresh fruit and something sweet, though Alex couldn't quite identify it. Elira looked up from what she was doing, offering him a small smile. "You're awake early," she said, her voice gentle. "How do you feel?" Alex stretched again, feeling surprisingly refreshed. "Better. Actually, I feel connected. I can't explain it, but it's like I'm part of this place now." Elira nodded knowingly. "It's the resonance. You've learned to listen to the planet. In time, you'll be able to understand it even more. The connection will grow stronger." Alex sat down at the small table, eyeing the food she had prepared. It was simple, but it looked delicious. Elira offered him a bowl filled with colorful fruits, some of which Alex recognized from Earth, while others were completely unfamiliar. He hesitated for only a moment before taking a bite. "This is amazing," Alex said, his eyes widening as the sweetness filled his mouth. "What is this?" Elira smiled, a glint of pride in her eyes. "It's from the trees in the forest. We take only what we need, and the plants give back what we ask for." Alex nodded, impressed. "I can see why you're so connected to the planet. You take care of it, and it takes care of you." Elira's gaze softened. "Yes, it's a balance. We don't take more than we need, and we ensure the planet flourishes. This is the way of my people." Alex paused, thinking about what she had said. It reminded him of Earth, where resources were often taken for granted and exploited. Elira's people, in contrast, seemed to live with a deep respect for the land. It was a way of life that Alex couldn't help but admire. "You've taught me a lot already," Alex said, "but I still have so many questions. What's the history of your people? How did you learn to live this way?" Elira set her bowl down and looked at him, her expression thoughtful. "Our history is long, but it is not written in books or stored in computers. It is passed down through generations, through stories, through our connection with the planet. We did not always live this way. Long ago, my people were like yours, taking from the land without understanding the cost." Alex listened carefully, intrigued by her words. "What changed?" Elira's eyes darkened slightly, and her voice became softer, more serious. "A great disaster struck us. We nearly destroyed ourselves and the planet. It was only then that we realized the importance of balance. We nearly lost everything we had: our homes, our crops, our forests. We learned the hard way that we are not separate from the land. We are part of it." Alex felt a shiver run down his spine as he imagined what Elira's people must have gone through. He knew Earth was facing its own challenges, with climate change, pollution, and deforestation, but hearing Elira's story made him realize just how much was at stake. "I'm sorry to hear that," Alex said quietly, "but it sounds like you found a better way to live now." Elira nodded. "Yes, we have. And we are always learning, always improving. We never stop striving for a better balance. It is not easy, but it is worth it." Alex was silent for a moment, reflecting on her words. He thought about Earth's struggles, how people were beginning to understand the need for change, but it often felt like progress was too slow. He wondered if humanity could learn to live in harmony with the planet, just as Elira's people had. "I think," Alex began, "I think that's the key. Balance. Harmony. It's not just about surviving. It's about making sure that everything thrives." Elira smiled again, her eyes full of warmth. "Exactly. And it is something we must all strive for." not just with the planet, but with each other. Understanding, respect, and trust are the foundations of everything. Alex felt a new sense of purpose growing inside him. He had come to this world as a stranded astronaut, lost and confused. But now he felt like he was beginning to understand something much larger than himself. The connection between Elira's people and the land was a beautiful thing, and it was something he wanted to learn from. "I want to help," Alex said, his voice firm with determination. "I want to take what I've learned here and bring it back to Earth. Maybe I can help people there understand what I'm starting to understand now." Elira's eyes shone with pride. "You have already taken the first step, Alex. You have opened your heart and mind. That is all we can ever ask for. But remember, change begins with one person, and that person can make a difference." Alex nodded, feeling a deep sense of responsibility. He didn't know how he would make a difference, but he knew he had to try. This world, this planet, had shown him something vital, and he wasn't about to forget it. As they finished their meal, Elira stood up and motioned for Alex to follow. "There is more to show you," she said. "We have only just begun. There are still many lessons to learn." Alex stood, his heart filled with anticipation. He knew this journey wasn't just about surviving on an alien planet. It was about learning from Elira's people and their deep connection with the world. And if he could bring even a small piece of that knowledge back to Earth, perhaps it could help his own people find their way. The journey was far from over, but Alex felt ready for whatever came next. The following days passed in a whirlwind of learning and discovery. Alex had never imagined that he would find himself in a place like this, among people who lived so differently, yet in such harmony with their world. Elira had shown him more of her people's culture and way of life, and each lesson seemed to reveal something new and important about the planet, and about what it meant to live in true balance. One morning, Elira led Alex to the edge of the forest, where the trees opened up to a vast, crystal-clear lake. The sunlight shimmered off the water, casting reflections of the sky and the mountains in the distance. The air was fresh and cool, and the gentle sound of water lapping at the shore added to the peaceful atmosphere. "This is one of our most sacred places," Elira explained, standing beside him. "The lake holds many secrets, and it is a place of reflection. It is here that we come to seek guidance, to connect with the deeper energies of the planet." Alex took a deep breath, feeling the calmness of the place seep into his bones. He had never experienced such tranquility before. Earth was a busy, noisy place, filled with constant motion and noise. But here, everything seemed still, alive, but not frantic. It felt like time moved slower, and there was a sense of timelessness in the air. "What happens here?" Alex asked, curious. Elira smiled, her eyes gentle. "Here we learn to listen. The water, the trees, the sky, they all speak to us. If you sit quietly and let your mind focus, you can hear the whispers of the planet. It tells us its stories and its wisdom." Alex looked out at the water, trying to imagine what Elira was describing. He had always thought of nature as something to be admired from afar, something to be used or studied, but never something with its own voice. He wondered if he could really hear the planet, if he could truly understand what it was trying to tell him. "I've been trying to understand," Alex said softly. "I want to learn everything I can, Elira. I want to bring this knowledge back to Earth. There has to be a way for us to live like this." Elira turned to him, her expression thoughtful. "I believe you can, but you must first understand that it is not a simple task. Change takes time, and it begins with small steps. We didn't get to this point overnight. It took generations of learning and adapting." Alex nodded. "I know, but I think people on Earth need to see that it's possible. If they could just understand the importance of balance, of living in harmony with the planet, maybe we could make a real difference." Elira regarded him with a mixture of pride and caution. "You have a strong desire to help, Alex, and that is admirable. But remember, knowledge is a gift. It can be used for great good, or it can be misused. You must be careful how you share what you learn." Alex's heart sank a little at her words. He had never considered that the knowledge he was gaining could be used in ways he didn't intend. But Elira's warning was clear. He needed to approach this with care, with respect for the planet and its teachings. "I'll be careful," Alex promised, his voice firm. "I want to do the right thing. I've seen how important it is to respect nature, and I don't want to harm what I've learned." Elira's expression softened. "I believe you. That is why I am showing you what I am. I will share something with you that few outsiders ever see. A gift from my people." Alex's curiosity was piqued. "A gift? What kind of gift?" Elira motioned toward the lake. "The knowledge of our ancestors. It is stored in the water, in the very heart of the lake. Only those who are ready, those who truly understand, can access it. It is not a gift that can be given lightly." Alex felt a surge of excitement. This was exactly what he had been hoping for, an opportunity to learn more, to understand the deeper mysteries of this world. He took a step toward the water, feeling a strange pull as if something was calling him. Elira took his hand, her touch gentle but firm. "You must be ready, Alex. The knowledge you seek is not just information. It is a deep connection. You will be bound to it, and it will change you." Alex hesitated for a moment, then nodded. He felt ready, more than ready. He had come this far, and he couldn't turn back now. Together, they waded into the lake, the cool water surrounding them. As they moved further into the water, Alex felt an unusual sensation, as though the water itself was alive, responding to their presence. It was almost as if the lake was aware of them, aware of their intentions. Elira guided Alex to the center of the lake, where a large, smooth stone lay beneath the surface. The stone was covered in strange symbols, glowing faintly in the water. Elira motioned for Alex to kneel beside it. "Place your hand on the stone," she instructed softly. "Let the knowledge flow through you." Alex took a deep breath and placed his hand on the stone. The moment his fingers touched the surface, a wave of warmth spread up his arm and into his chest. The symbols on the stone began to glow brighter, and Alex felt his mind open to something new, something ancient. Images, sounds, and feelings flooded his consciousness. All the wisdom of Elira's people, all their history, their connection to the planet, and the lessons they had learned. For a long moment, Alex was overwhelmed. It was like he was seeing the world through a new lens, understanding everything in a way he never had before. The knowledge was vast, and yet it was simple, rooted in the belief that everything was interconnected. When the vision faded, Alex slowly pulled his hand away from the stone. He felt changed. It wasn't just the information he had received. It was the feeling of unity, of understanding, that filled his soul. Elira watched him with a quiet, knowing expression. "You've seen what you needed to see, Alex. Now you must carry it with you." Alex nodded, his heart full. "I understand now. It's not just about taking knowledge from the planet. It's about becoming part of it." The days after Alex's experience with the lake were filled with a sense of purpose. He had gained a deep understanding of Elira's world, of the wisdom her people held, and the lessons they had learned from their past. But despite the newfound knowledge, a part of him still felt uncertain. Could he really bring this back to Earth? Could he convince others to embrace the idea of living in balance with nature? Elira could sense his struggle. One morning, as they walked through the forest, she turned to him with a thoughtful expression. "You carry the weight of your world with you," she said softly. "I can feel it in you, Alex. You want to help, but you are uncertain. The road ahead will not be easy." Alex sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I know. It's just hard to imagine Earth changing. People there are so used to their ways, to their routines. How do I even begin to explain what I've learned here? I don't know where to start." Elira smiled gently, her eyes filled with understanding. "Change does not happen all at once. It begins with small steps. With you. You must lead by example, Alex. You have seen the truth of what can be achieved when people work together with the planet. You must trust that others will see that, too. Alex looked at her, feeling the weight of her words. But what if they don't understand? What if they reject it? I can't force them to change. No, Elira agreed. You cannot force anyone. But you can show them the way. Sometimes, it is the smallest actions that inspire the greatest change. The way you live, the choices you make, they will speak louder than any words. Alex nodded slowly. Elira's words were starting to make sense, but the fear of failure still lingered in the back of his mind. He had always been someone who wanted to fix things, to solve problems. But this was bigger than anything he had ever faced before. They continued walking, and Elira led him to a small village nestled within the forest. The homes were simple, built with natural materials that blended seamlessly with the surroundings. Everything was in harmony with nature, and the people here seemed to live without the distractions of modern technology. It was peaceful, serene, just as Elira had described. This is one of our communities, Elira explained. Here, we live in harmony with the land. Everything we need is provided by the forest, the water, and the earth. We do not take more than we need, and we make sure to give back what we take. Alex marveled at the simplicity of it all. The villagers were busy with their daily tasks, but there was no rush, no frantic pace. People worked together, each contributing to the well-being of the community. It was a stark contrast to the busy, disconnected world he had come from. As they walked deeper into the village, a young woman approached them. She had the same silver eyes as Elira, and wore a simple robe made from plant fibers. She smiled warmly as she greeted Elira. "Elira, it's good to see you," the woman said. "Who is this?" "This is Alex," Elira replied, introducing him. "He is learning from us, seeking to understand our way of life." The woman studied Alex for a moment, her gaze soft but intense. "You are the outsider who wishes to bring our ways back to your world." Alex nodded, his heart pounding. "I do, but I'm not sure where to start. I've learned so much here, but Earth is so different." The woman's expression softened, and she placed a hand on Alex's shoulder. "It is true that Earth is different, but everything begins with one person, with one decision. If you choose to live differently, others will notice. They may ask questions, and when they do, you will have the answers." Alex felt a surge of hope. "You think people will listen, that they'll want to change?" The woman smiled. "They will not change overnight. But if you live with purpose, if you show them that a different way is possible, they will begin to see. Trust in your actions, Alex. Trust that what you are doing is the right thing." Elira nodded in agreement. "Your journey is only just beginning. The hardest part is not learning the lessons. It is sharing them with the world. But you are not alone. We will help you, and you will find others who believe in this cause." Alex felt a sense of determination welling up inside him. For the first time, he felt like he had a mission, a true purpose. It wasn't going to be easy, and there would be obstacles along the way. But he knew that he had to try. He couldn't ignore the truth of what he had learned on this planet. "I won't give up," Alex said, his voice steady. "I'll do what I can. I don't know if I'll change the whole world, but I'll start with something small. I'll show people what I've learned. I'll live the way I believe is right." Elira smiled warmly. "That is all we can ask of you, Alex. Change begins with the individual, but it can spread like a ripple across the water. And in time, it will reach others." As Alex stood in the peaceful village, surrounded by the simple beauty of the world Elira and her people had built, he felt a new sense of clarity. He had come here as a lost astronaut, unsure of his place in this strange world. But now he had found his purpose. The path ahead wouldn't be easy, but it was one he was ready to walk. And with Elira's guidance and the lessons he had learned, Alex knew that he could make a difference, not just for himself, but for the world he had come from. Alex stood at the edge of the village, feeling the weight of the decision he had made. The people of this world had taught him lessons he never expected to learn. Elira, with her wisdom and patience, had shown him a way of life that seemed so simple, yet so deeply connected to the earth. The peacefulness of the village, the harmony with nature, it had all become part of him. But now he had to leave it behind. Elira had promised that his journey wasn't over. He had learned, yes, but now he had to take that knowledge back to his own world, a world that seemed so different from the calm and balance he had experienced here. "Are you ready?" Elira asked, her voice soft as she walked up beside him. Her silver eyes looked at him with both pride and concern. Alex nodded, taking a deep breath. "I think so. But I'm not sure how I'll do this. Earth is so different from here. People are so caught up in their lives. They don't see what I've seen." Elira placed a hand on his shoulder. "That's why you must lead by example. Your actions will speak louder than words. You've learned what it means to live in balance with the world. Now you must show them how it can be done." Alex glanced back at the village, the forest stretching behind him, the lake shimmering in the distance. It felt like a lifetime ago that he had first arrived on this planet, lost and unsure. Now he was ready to return to Earth, though he felt torn between the world he had come from and the one he was leaving behind. "I'll do my best," Alex said, his voice steady. "I don't know if it will work, but I have to try." Elira smiled, her eyes filled with understanding. "You will. And remember, you are not alone. We will be here, watching, waiting. You carry our teachings with you, and in time, others will see the truth of what you've learned." With one final look at the peaceful village, Alex turned and made his way to the small shuttle that had brought him to this planet. The journey back to Earth would be long, but the lessons he had learned on this world would stay with him forever. The knowledge he had gained, the understanding of balance, respect for nature, and the importance of living in harmony with the world, was now part of him. As the shuttle's engines hummed to life and the ground beneath him began to shake, Alex took one last look at the planet that had changed him. It was a place of peace and wisdom, a place where the people lived in balance with the land. But now, it was time for him to share that wisdom with his own world. The journey back to Earth was filled with quiet reflection. Alex thought about all the things he had learned, the way Elira's people treated the planet, how they had rebuilt their society after the disaster, and how they had learned to live in balance with nature. It wasn't an easy path, and it hadn't been for Elira's people either. But they had found a way, and Alex was determined to find a way to bring those same values back to Earth. As the shuttle finally entered Earth's atmosphere, Alex felt a sense of nervous excitement. He had no idea what to expect, but he knew one thing. He couldn't go back to the way things were. He had seen the future, a future where people lived in harmony with the world, and he couldn't let that go. The shuttle touched down on Earth's surface, the familiar sights of his home planet greeting him. But things didn't feel quite the same. The hustle and bustle of the world, the noise, the rush, it all felt so distant now. Alex knew that he couldn't just blend back into his old life. He had to do something. When he stepped off the shuttle, he was met with a group of officials, curious about his mission and his strange disappearance. They had questions about the planet he had visited, the knowledge he had gained. But Alex wasn't focused on their questions. He had his own. "I've learned something," Alex said, his voice strong. "I've learned that there is another way to live, a way that respects the planet, a way that allows us to live in harmony with nature. It's not just about surviving. It's about living in balance with the world around us." The officials looked at him, confused but intrigued. Alex could see the skepticism in their eyes, but he also saw a flicker of curiosity. They didn't understand yet, but they would. "Let me show you," Alex continued. "Let me show you how this knowledge can change everything." He wasn't sure what would happen next. The road ahead was uncertain, and there would be challenges. People would question him, doubt him, and push back. But Alex knew that he had to keep going, to keep pushing forward. If he could help just one person understand what he had learned, that would be enough. As he looked around at the world he had come back to, Alex felt a renewed sense of hope. He wasn't alone anymore. He carried with him the wisdom of Elira's people, the knowledge of balance and respect. And that knowledge could spread, one person at a time. He took a deep breath, ready to face whatever came next. It wouldn't be easy, but Alex was no longer the lost astronaut who had crash-landed on an unknown world. He was a messenger, and his mission was just beginning.